Yes, it's that time again. Meanwhile, I'm trying to make this public for you all so that you can actually see what's going on. Now, this is a special edition of Stupid Scary Stories. It's the live Nomad edition. You say to yourself, what is Nomad? Nomad is one who roams, goes different places. He finds his home, usually. He's allowed to. Other times, he has to make the home for himself. So, with that being said, let us begin Stupid Scary Stories live, Nomad Edition. Today's topic, not sure. I had an idea of what I was going to discuss or scare you with, but at this current point in time, my mind has drawn a blank. It's drawn a blank. It's drawn a blank because something that is frightening realization is freedom. True, actual freedom. Without restriction, without guilt, without having to worry about the consequences that you've been forced to think of most of your life as being reasonable and worthwhile consequences, such as disrespecting others or karma, giving of yourself, life, good things that you do that are supposed to come back to you. Say, what you put into the world, you should get back. Well, that's not true, folks. That's not true. I know a man. Met him once. Nice guy. His name was John. John Bishop. Years ago. Ran into this guy. He told me a story. A story about a man. I think he was talking about himself because he spoke like third person a lot about himself, so there's a very strong possibility that he was talking about himself. But anyway, he told me about this man. He said this man had given everything that a man could give. It was almost like the story of Job, except without some godly figure pulling strings with a devil and making jokes and having fun at the expense of someone's life. No, this man told me he actually saw this happen from people, doing it to other people. People that shouldn't have done it to these people, but they did it anyway, because people are just fucking people. It's a nightmare that people are what they are. Mr. Bishop's story started about, man, was born young, obviously. Most people are born young. You're not born old unless you're Benjamin Button. He was born young. Happy, joy in his mind. All he saw was the brilliance of life. The stars, the moon. You know, all the stuff that you think about when you think about happy, peaceful shit. That's what he was thinking about, right? You know? Played with the kids he shared. Sharing is caring. All the things that you taught him time. You believe in. Karma. What you put in the world, come out of the world. He gave. He gave good karma. He gave good everything to everybody. You know, this is what John Bishop told me. I don't know the guy, so I couldn't really fucking tell you if he was a nice guy or not. He could have been a fucking asshole for all I know. But, you know, John Bishop, friend of mine, trust him. He said, this guy, great guy. Great guy. Always giving. Always giving. Giving. Well, you know, something happened, which made things a little bit worse for him. The anger that he felt started to grow. Started to grow larger and much more large. To a point where he ended up being what you call a repressed nice guy. And you say, what is a repressed nice guy? I asked John Bishop what a fucking repressed nice guy is. I'm like, how do you repress a nice guy? Well, this is what it is. Apparently, you do such nice things based on the things that people tell you. You figure, if I suffer long enough, according to John Bishop, that something really great should happen. Well, according to John Bishop, finally things started to look up for this guy. You know, his business grew, found a wife, had children. Family was great. They loved him. They treated him well. He came home, and all the good that he had done in his life was finally starting to come back to him. And he was happier. than he had ever been in his life. Happier than he had ever thought possible to be. But it didn't last very long. The powers that be decided that why should this guy be allowed to enjoy life? Why? So life, in its wonderful, wonderful way of giving and taking, decided to start chipping away at John Bishop's story protagonist's happiness. First was the children. Took his children from him. Terrible ways. Terrible ways. Something that we thought, most people would think, would probably stop a man in his tracks. Stop him right in his tracks. And it didn't stop him in his tracks. He continued to try. He continued to do what he thought was what he should. Things between him and his wife became terrible. She no longer loved him as she did. She blamed him for the death of the children. It was something he could not do. It was genetics, a recessive gene in his DNA. Which is why she blamed him. She hated him. But she wouldn't leave him. She just wanted to terrorize him and make him miserable. And he wouldn't leave her because he felt guilty. His happiness, his joy, what he had striven so hard for, what he had gone out of his way to achieve, robbed from him. Robbed from him. Taken. I look at John's face, sour. I see a tear in his eye. He wipes it away quickly as he notices that I notice it. Continues on with the story. Reads indeed. Well, my friend, his wife. So eventually it became a thing where his wife stopped going anywhere, doing anything. And he was just burying himself in his work. Buried himself there in hopes that things would somehow be good. He started being good though. Tried to do the family thing again, got the child, hopeless. Didn't work. Didn't work at all. The child was just not a nice kid. Did all types of mean things. Made his wife even more mad. She yelled at him, "Where'd you get this fucking kid? This kid's in the house." Now he's annoying me all the time. He's in my face telling me, "Mom, he's not my son. He's adopted. I want my kids. I don't want your adopted child in my house as a replacement. You cannot replace what was lost. Ever." Smacked him. He rubbed his face. He turned. I mean, how do you return a kid that you adopt? I mean, it's not like bringing something back to Walmart. You can't just like give what you receipt and say, "Hey, here, I don't want this anymore. Could you please return it?" I mean, what do you get on a return an adopted kid? You get credit? Cash. You get store credit at the adoption agency for the next kid that shows up half price. Oh, but no, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You can't just bring them back.
All right, get your
And they tried.
Okay.
They tried to, but that kid wasn't hearing it. The kid wasn't hearing it. They didn't know what kid they got. He didn't know that all that negative energy that he had built up from doing so much good. His call was that adopted child. But because he had taken so much crap from everyone else, he ignored the joy he felt for helping this child. And because his wife resented the child, he resented the child. He started to abuse the child. Poor kid. He's looking for his love, just like this man. And he thought he found it. He had to admit, realize that he didn't really love the child as much as he loved the idea of letting the child be the thing to fix his broken relationship. It's just a thing that a lot of people do. It doesn't work. has balls, whatever else. That doesn't feel good to get big. But yes, that's bad.
Take your shirt off. Take your real quick.
It's terrible. Now they tried as hard as they could
Marker. IG marker.
to
Okay.
work through it in a way. The wife wasn't really trying. She'd make her little excuses. I'll try to accept it. All the while, she would torture me with the kid, poke him, burn him with cigarettes. Say it's because you're Dr. Dad. He wants it. They kept pushing this little kid, who all he wanted was to be loved. That's all he wanted. He starts thinking in his head, what did you bring me here for if you're going to treat me this way? I was fine in the orphanage. The nuns liked me. They fed me. You guys don't even feed me. I'm starving to death. You're mean. You burn me. You beat me up. Abused.
So that's what you want to do?
Terribly abused.
That's your shirt on. Okay.
Can I put this on the
Well,
floor?
Yeah.
The tides turn.
Put it on the shirt. I'll put it,
The evil,
do
the
the front and the back.
mean beating of this poor kid then changed over. He decided no longer going to be the
Write your name on. Write your name on.
object of their anger.
Okay.
Like, dudes, I was chilling in the orphanage. Somebody already gave me up once. I'm in the orphanage chilling. Nobody asked you to come down here and get me. Did I call you? Did I say, hey, buddy, I want to be adopted by a couple of dysfunctional folks who are trying to replace their dead children? I can't replace that. I'm not a replacement kid. I don't even think there's a such thing.
What is that?
I lost my charger.
Lost it?
No,
In the house or like that? Jay, something.
See what
it's here.
ends up happening.
Right there. No, that's good.
One day, the wife
And I need it.
Mysteriously.
I need it for
mysteriously dies of strange circumstances.
Put it in my room.
The strange circumstances were fingerprints bruised around the neck, ligature marks, choked. Suspicious because obviously you don't even choke yourself, but
No, maybe I didn't.
she hadn't left the house in weeks, months, years, so people kind of thought she didn't exist. So when the husband was finally rid of her, he just kind of put her in the backyard in a box on the ground, covered it up, grew some grass, pepper plants, sugar rush peach, delicious, sweet, tangy, tropical. She just enough of the heat. An ahi variety. AJI, for those of you who don't know. Anyway, I digress. The problem with his realization was that he knew his son did this. He knew the boy did it. And the way he was acting, he figured, finally, I can treat this child like I wanted, like he's mine. Since I adopted him.
It's on the colors.
We can reciprocate the love for one another that we have.
Ooh.
But it was too late.
Yo, put the cats back on, bro.
As John told me, it was much too late.
The
young child had given up all hope
Bro, you trying
of being loved for himself. It was done. It was
Oh, you gotta stretch it out.
He brooded, plotted, he schemed. Just John, his friend, could tell.
You can stretch it out with your
He could
color.
see. He could see. Finally, the love and happiness that he thought he would have, finally being able to give it back, he was in a good place.
It's looking good, my boy. It's
But
looking good.
you know what? He had forsaken it. He had abused the poor kid simply because the wife who didn't want him didn't want the child he wanted. He set himself up for failure. It was terrible. Immediately, he tries to repair the relationship with the child. Hey, come on, let's play some ball or something. Let's go outside. Do this, do that. And the kid's like, he's on his fucking tablet or phone, playing Xbox, PlayStation, any one of the electronic gadgets that you buy the children to be bothered. But now he wants to be bothered. He's like, no. One day he happened to be looking at his son's phone, saw a text to one of his friends, I suppose. And in this text, he detailed the way he planned on murdering his father. John Bishop's friend read this. Immediately, he was forced to go into the child's room.
Let's go
After giving him some tea that put him to sleep, paralyzed him, but without making him unconscious. He talked to the son. Talked to him for hours. He said, by the time this stuff wears off, if you still feel like you want to carry out your plots, then I have no choice but to kill you. But please don't make me do this. The son looked at him, anger, hate in his eyes, rage. Stared at him until you could see his hand starting to move.
Don't do it again.
He felt the paralysis was wearing off.
There's a corner. I'll turn down the
As
lights.
soon as it was over, he lunged for his father. His father
No, somebody let
tried
the cat-
everything he
someone
could
uncat
not to
the
hurt
person.
him.
Oh, good. What about your life? Nice.
He knew. He knew he was going to have to do one thing he didn't want to do. He was going to have to kill the one thing he wanted. The one thing he had learned to love throughout all the hate, pain, anger, resentment he felt. He finally found that love. It was he himself who had to take love away from him for the last time. John told me the man ended up becoming a recluse. Never to be seen again. Hidden from the world forever. It was at that moment I looked up at John and I saw a tear fall from his eye. Once. And then I knew the story was about home. Or is it about
He's almost done. He's almost
all
done.
of us?
Relax.
Go look at this, huh?
It's
Does
just-
that look
Yo,
like it?
my boy.
It's not just
Relax.
us.
Oh my
It's
God.
not just you. It could be any of us. Think of the things that
Just
you
give it to him. He's
have.
gonna be done tomorrow before you even do it.
Cherish
You don't need no other colors.
or it could be a scary story in itself.
I was gonna make
The
this
love that you lose, the love that you forcefully.
Hold on.
And that is the
Why
end
can't we
of
just
my
look for another one?
life.
Did you guys just switch it? I'll have another one.
I hope that you enjoyed
Do
it.
you really care about your stupid switch? Yes.
I'm distracted. But
Jeez,
it's not anybody else's fault. I'm a
You
nomad.
guys are crazy.
When you're a nomad, you roam. You roam where you can. This is where I am. And I'm happy.
Call it stupid for a reason. 'Cause
So-
I
Hey, stop talking like that.
All
Bro.
you people out there, I have more stories that I will be uploading that were already pre-recorded. But I will do this again. Quiet.
All this for one marker. This is too much. I'm trying to make you guys happy because you want to do this to your
Let's
shirts.
talk about something that'll really scare you.
You look
We're almost done.
Scare everybody.
Get the shoulder roll.
So, with that being said, I want to thank you for taking time out of your short,
Hey, so you're not gonna
rainy
look
Sunday.
at
Two blues. And make sure
But you know
you
it's
cap it.
terrible. What else you do? You're not doing anything else, so this wasn't a waste of your time. Unless it was a waste of your time. And that would be scary if it was. Because what else are you doing? Like, seriously. If you're eating, or cooking, I should say. I'm eating. I'm a hungry guy. Stomach is growling. Or as they like to say, it's touching my back. I'm just joking. I've been fed actually quite well the past few days. It's
It
wonderful.
looks horrible.
It's delicious. Everything. Chicken.
Sure, I actually did.
Pizza, chicken and pizza, with mashed potatoes with the skins. Never had them this way.
What the
They
heck?
do this thing with the freaking skins
I want to be able to
off the mashed
finish
potatoes.
it.
It's like potato skins
What are you
with
trying
the
to do
mashed
to it?
potatoes, but
I'm
not
trying to color it
in
and
the mashed
something
potatoes. So you can have
happens. I
the
just wanna
skins
get
to
a
the side and
blast
then dip it in the mashed potatoes.
You're never
Fucking
gonna get a
delicious.
flat surface.
Anyway, people,
The only
Those-
flat
those
thing
thanks for
is-
coming out.
Those markers are.
I'll be
on
back.
Paper, not.
But I have things to do at this current point in time. But I
I
will.
thought you were just gonna make a couple lines in there. I didn't know you were gonna make a whole order. But do what you can. Do your best.
I went